Good. All right. Well, hey, everybody. Thank you for coming to the only Tech Week event in Los Feliz. Not the only Tech Week event on the east side, but one of the few. There's a bunch going on in Santa Monica, Venice, ton in Silicon Valley, but we can't let them all have the fun. So really thankful to Tyler and Reunion and Co. They've been providing the wine. They have great coffee too, by the way. The best coffee, best wine. And by the way, like if you love it, which you will, you could maybe persuade him to sell you a bottle before you leave today. So I want to kick things off by just having everybody do a quick Twitter style intro, like no more than 30 seconds, name, rank, serial number, starting with Joe.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Fernandez. I am the CEO and co-founder, of a company called AllUP. We are a new professional network helping a lot of startups hire also. Previously, I was co-founder and CEO of a company called Joymode here in LA, and before that, Klout.
So thanks, Joe.
Yeah, my name is Tyler Simmons. I'm a co-founder of Zeal, which Mo and I have been doing together. Before that, was running innovation at IMAX, and then before that, I had a creative agency for 10 years. So.
Hi, my name is Rhim, and I'm also a co-founder of Zeal. I also just joined a new independent film studio called Row-K as their chief revenue officer. And before that, I was at IMAX as their CSO, and then Paramount and Google before that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Syuzi. I am leading innovation at Target. For that, I was at a company called BCG Digital Ventures, where I did corporate innovation work. And prior to that, spent a lot of time with various startups in the wellness space.
Wait. Before Paul goes, so you guys may have saw on the party full invite, it's CEO stealth mode. So I want to do like a little, because this is kind of a big reveal, and I may or may not be part of it, depends on how tonight goes. But Paul.
Yeah, Paul Genberg. I've been building products and services and companies for the last 20 years at Target, at BCG, on my own, with friends. And then sort of the semi-reveal today is we've been working with Elijah with a oil and gas company in the Middle East, helping them figure out how to spin out IP. And one of those is what we call Ally, and it is a startup that is building new materials, discovering new materials using AI and robotic labs. And so as of Monday, 2 days ago, our first molecule was third-party verified that beats everything that's in the market. It's in the carbon capture space, and it's at half the cost. So that'll be the first one that we go to market with. Soft circling some funding this week, and for the next however many weeks we have to close the round. But yeah, that's sort of the
so I can keep my Land Rover?
Yeah, we're gonna find like a really good fuel.
Okay.
Hopefully. No,
Great.
But it's super exciting, as some of you might know, super terrifying at the same time. But it's just LA, deep tech. We're excited to be here.
Long LA. Yeah. Okay. And I'm your moderator today and co-host along with the panel here. I'm Elijah Kim. So if Paul has shared, cat's out of the bag. So I'll be serving as a chief business officer and CRO for this new venture. But today I'm just the moderator. And quick Chatham House rules. Please don't post any videos on social media. We are recording this one, but I have full edit, overlordship there. You can take photos and post that all, by all means, tag Reunion and Co. and our respective venture. We'd appreciate that. But just to get started, AI is shaking up every corner, and that's one of the big themes of today. So in your worlds, what's the most meaningful way it's actually changing the way that you guys work? I'll leave it open to who wants to field this one first, and then I have specific ones for you guys later. Who wants to go first?
I can start. So Mo and I been working on this company Zeal for the last 12 months or so, and what we're trying to do is really kind of create like a unified identity around fandom, and I'll kind of get to the end a little bit, and I'll try to make this concise. But OCR has been around for decades, computer vision, but a lot of that stuff is really clunky. And what AI has been able to do, for us, is you can scan a ticket, but you can accurately capture all that data, all that metadata, sort of bring it and then actually do anything with it, especially, analyze it. And so for us, what we've been endeavoring to do, you like literally just couldn't do, 10 or 15 years ago. And so for us, on a bootstrap budget, at this day and age, it's like the tech has enabled us to do things that obviously we're incapable of doing. And what that is extracting metadata from live event tickets. We're really, we come from the movie business, extracting that data. So that could be, I went and saw, Deadpool at AMC and, Universal. It extrapolates all that, brings it into our database. Then we use with AI assisted computer vision. Then we take that and again with sort of APIs and other data sets, enrich that with things like cast and crew and census data and all these other things. And that type of obviously cloud infrastructure and the computational stuff that happens that AI has enabled us to do is like enabled Mo and I and a scrappy team to actually pull that together where again that wasn't possible decades ago. And then take that, synthesize all that and analyze it and be able to pull out the patterns of, well, Elijah is a fan of this. He also, he saw Deadpool, but he's also subscribed to Marvel Unlimited. And then he also goes to Comic-Con. And so for us, it's, really enabling us to create almost like an entertainment identity graph, which, really doesn't and hasn't existed because it's been, technology has not allowed us to connect all those different parts. So that's kind of how we're using AI at the moment to use that.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And so I want to pop a question over to you, Syuzi. It's kind of somewhat related, but in consumer and specifically with Target, how are you, using immersive technology and AI to engage customers, whether it be through personalization and other modes? Yeah.
So I've only been there for 3 months, so we haven't done much yet. I'm hiring a team. With that being said, I think our focus obviously is on AI, and we just announced our partnership with ChatGPT OpenAI. I think last Monday when they had their dev day. So I think what we're focusing on is like how is AI changing consumer behavior? We start with the consumer behavior first. We don't start with the tech. Right, mm-hmm. As we know, as good human-centered designers, how are people changing? How are those behaviors changing? And one of the emergent behaviors that you naturally see is people are actually shopping on these new channels. What that looks like, what that feels like, what is to be determined, because not many people have developed those experiences there. And I think that is our first thing that we're thinking through and trying to solve for. But there's so many opportunities, I think, there when we're looking at topics on like agentic commerce. I mean, I don't know if people want agents to buy stuff for them. Maybe they do, they don't. I think all of this stuff is net new. Maybe you want your agent to do your grocery run for you. Maybe some people might, some people don't. I think this is like a very interesting and murky space that we have to experiment with and test and learn with to understand what do people want, what are people want to do, how is this going to help really improve their lives, drive, give them more time, so I guess to answer your question in reverse, it's really looking at people and their emerging behaviors and trying to unpack what that can look like and what those experiences can be.
Very cool, very cool. Now on the subject of looking at people, so we're here to show Joe's technology. It's like we use Klout, remember Klout, but and that quite frankly defining social influence. Now in this new era of social media, AI, and what you're doing now with AllUP, how are you thinking about leveraging and utilizing these new capabilities, efficiencies with AllUP?
Yeah. So I started AllUP in late 2021, and the goal, we were trying to build like a LinkedIn that doesn't suck, just a new professional network. And we didn't know that like ChatGPT hadn't really come out at that point. And what we are solving now, we didn't know we were solving then. What has changed since then is it is so trivial for anybody looking for a job, any candidate, to instantly make their resume match a job description. And then apply to every job. So companies are getting thousands of applications. All the resumes look great. Like they're great. You can't tell who actually is qualified. And it's horrible for candidates because you now have no way to stand out. You have no way to tell your story. You're just like in a pile of resumes. So we are using AI to enable people to express their professional skills, their ambitions, their character, their all the things that make them awesome to work with in ways that just weren't possible before AI. We're doing a lot of cool stuff with video. We're doing a lot of stuff with like matching companies with talent. And it's been fun. And it's been weird because it's like, I don't know about you guys, but AI feels personally like a superpower. Like I can now build stuff and all these things, but also makes me feel so dumb because it's like every day I feel left behind or like can't keep up or everything.
Right.
So it's a really interesting time to be building with like these tools that are evolving so fast that by the time you build anything, it's already outdated and challenges of that. And I guess one last thing I'll say, we work with hundreds of companies hiring across thousands of roles, and tens and tens of thousands of candidates. The number one thing we hear from companies they want to understand in candidates is how they use AI. And it's like by far the most important question that companies are like matching on now.
That's so cool. And by the way, if you're not already on AllUP, download it, sign up, be on it. I've been on it for a while, but I've only recently used it as a founding team hiring and recruiting, and it's insane. So sign up. So this is going to be like the most ADHD panel ever because we're going from like media to consumer to social
molecules.
Yeah, and now I'm going to switch it to you, Paul. So we're going to molecules and deep tech. Okay. So on the tech side, what kind of non-obvious opportunities are you seeing at the intersection of AI and physical industries?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's been great with AI is and how fast it moves is because it's all sits on the chip, right? It's all bits, and you can they process things at zillions of bits per second, whatever the measure it is, right? But in the physical world, you still have to synthesize those molecules, those materials, and figure out if those things actually do anything good and valuable. And so there's sort of this, and it's kind of similar to retail in that at some point in this chain, you can come up with 1,000 ideas really quickly with AI, but at some point you got to put this idea into a factory to manufacture it and get into the stores, right? So you're getting into the physical constraints that it takes to manufacture. So I think one of the things that I'm excited about is really being able to figure out ways to accelerate that idea to market step, and in particular, one of the most important step is to take what the molecule that we've designed or whatever material and build out a robotic lab that can synthesize that molecule in hours versus weeks or months. Do the testing to understand, did your model predict the properties of this molecule really well? And if not, send that learning back to the model and rerun, right? And we're looking at doing that in days, what would now take, well, for our first molecule, took 4 months, right? And we did that we got the results on Monday, and we've waited since before the summer to actually get the results, right? So that's a really frustrating part because it's our personal opportunity to go to market and all sorts of different things. So that's the part that I think at the intersection of AI and the physical world, you have to live with much harder constraints. And it's more of a workflow process, like where can you innovate on that side of things? That's gonna really unlock, I think, a lot of innovation and a lot of value.
Super cool. I mean, I'm super biased, so but yes, it's very, very cool. So I want to ask you a question, Mo. So, coming from immersive and entertainment, and similar to Paul being in stealth and something, Mo may or may not share something here. But related to that, and if you feel up for it, how do you balance the creative instinct of storytellers with AI-driven production, personalization, and distribution?
Yeah. By the way, it sucks to follow you. I feel like I'm like, well, we're like making like stories and stuff, and we hope they're fun and stuff, and people come to them, and you're like changing the world, which is really, really cool.
Stories can change the world.
That is
Yes,
great.
and-
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you. I'm feeling so much better now. By the way, as a side note, I feel like that, like what you're doing also like could really impact like the regulatory process in a major way and like streamline that, because there's so much that when you think about like kind of removing the blockers, right, and the speed of innovation, but doing it with some level of safeguards, right, and still being able to have these like checks and balances, like the regulatory process around so many different industries, I feel like could be really accelerated.
Mo's also a future politician.
that.
So.
Yeah.
So I would just say, I mean, that's where my head went. That is actually really cool. So here's what I'll say, and I think this kind of dovetails a little bit to like what Tyler and I have been working on. And there's like this, and I'll start with like pseudo answering your question and sort of not, and kind of being on my soapbox for a second. When I think about AI, and so much of what you said really resonated with me, is like you have to think about the consumer centric piece first. How is it actually just changing fundamental behavior and also taste, right? Like preferences and taste, and like those are malleable things. Those are not static. And we've seen that time and time again. And so I'll put like one thing to the side. Yes, there are definitely utilization tools, right, of AI within entertainment. So, you know, can it help do post-production a little bit faster? Can it help with editing faster? Can it help with like so many different sort of parts of the production process? For sure. Are there places where it affects on marketing and distribution? Yes. And like those are really interesting. That's actually where I'm sort of putting a lot of effort and time and energy into that piece of it. The bigger thing is like when you look at sort of the like, and this is kind of like where we have started, is looking at, well, the consumer preferences and what's happening. There are a few things that are really paramount to, you know, to our industry, and I think just at large. One is the discovery path, and I talk about this like path of discovery. The path of discovery has really fundamentally been shifting, and it's about to have an acceleration in that shift. And in the next 18 months is going to be so dramatically different that if you're not ahead of that and you're not thinking about where points of origin happen for discovery, awareness, commerce, transaction, influence, sharing, those are all changing. The nodes are becoming dramatically dispersed, and nothing is linear. And it hasn't been linear. It hasn't been linear for a long time, but it's going to have a really fundamental shift. And you're going to have lights out moments that will happen, and it'll feel like it happened overnight, and then it didn't. It happened actually slowly and then faster, and then it will feel sort of immediate. And so that's like one of the big things that we focus on, is like, where is the path of discovery? How is that path shifting? Where are the nodes starting? Where are they ending? And how do we sort of optimize for what that new path of discovery is? So that's kind of like one. The second is on like preferences and taste. And I was at this dinner, I'll share this, you know, example. And also, let me preface, if it's not clear, I'm not an AI expert at all. But I was sitting at this dinner, and it was with like some, you know, music people and film people and whatnot. And people were talking about AI, as you do. And, you know, and I heard a pocket of conversation was like, well, but they'll never be able to like make a Christopher Nolan movie, right? AI could never get that right, like could never really do that. And, you know, and I'm sitting and I'm listening to it. And finally, it was like 30 minutes into this conversation. And I was like, I just have to say, I was like, I don't actually think that that's the aim, to be honest. Like replication, I don't disagree with that. Replication is actually really hard. Like there's a reason why like humans actually have like a perception for like what is sort of authentic or real and what's not. That's why you have like, if someone shows you a real Hermes bag versus a fake one, it could be identical materials, identical craftsmanship, and there's just a texture, there's a smell, there's an element, there's an aura. I don't know. Maybe it's the delta of a ridiculous amount of money. But I was like, I don't actually think that's the goal of AI. I was like, I think that the fear is a little bit misplaced. And so if you're optimizing thinking that that's the goal of it, you're going to miss the big picture. And I was like, so the goal is, I don't think replication, it's actually easier to change preference. The taste will change. People will just want, and they'll crave different things. And you can already see that with just now, right? Like look at the way that our habits and preferences and, you know, formats and all of those things, even just swiping, your behaviors change. The bigger thing is, what is the goal to actually change preference, to change the taste level, not to try and do a replica of Chris Nolan. That I agree, it's not going to actually be like the exact same. So that's actually one of the big places where we focus is, okay, so if that's kind of the game, or like those are the stakes, then how do we also think about using AI to influence that taste and that preference to obviously the things that we are, catering to. And so those are like the two main things that we think about right now is like, there's the path of discovery, how is that fundamentally changing? And then it's taste and preference. And so how do we use that also to understand the ways in which that's changing and also to be able to counteract?
Okay, no, nice. So the next question is to everybody. So I just want to do a quick kind of popcorn on this, but what's one myth or overhyped narrative about AI in your respective industries that you'd like to kill once and for all? So let's start with Paul and just kind of work our way down.
I was hoping to go last. I think one of the myth is that, and I think this is actually not just in chemistry, but across I see it, is this idea that AI is going to displace people. It will displace some people, like let's not kid ourselves. But I think that there's so much that as humans we perceive that is different, that we need that level of sort of criticality and sort of objectivity or subjectivity to actually guide what is fundamentally probabilistic models, right? They're always everything AI, you think, oh, it's looking at the future. No, it's all backwards looking. Mm-hmm. Humans are incredibly imaginative and are able to make leaps in a way that AI, at least as far as I understand it, cannot. Just like literally the science of it, the technology of it just looks backward. So I think that's where humans come in, and we need to think about it that way in terms of the jobs that we offer as humans in the loop, if you want to use a buzzword. But it's about looking at where should AI be spending some time to understand probabilistically where your industry or where your problem is going to go, versus thinking that it can actually solve everything, which I don't believe it will. Mm-hmm.
I think for me, for the last couple of years, everyone's been seeing AI as a driver of efficiency, and making things easier and streamlined in that way. I see it. I think the missed opportunity is looking at AI as a creativity unlock, and I think there's a lot of potential there. So, for example, in film, it would be, what are the new mediums of like entertainment that are going to arise that we just don't even understand yet? New formats, new experiences there. In retail, it could be, what are the new ways they talk about discovery, that people are going to just be able to discover or find the right thing that they need at the right time and in the right moment in their life. So I see it really, for me, it's been really a creative partner. I use it to entertain my kids on a drive home, having it do like trivia with Minecraft. I use it on my day-to-day to help me figure out like a recipe. I use it in my work as a brainstorming partner. I use it on my to analyze my health data. I mean, I use it all the time. But for me, it's just allows me to like think about problems slightly differently, because I have somebody that's willing to brainstorm with me, because I can't call Paul all the time.
You can actually. You can.
Yeah. So that's what it is. I think once we stop fearing it and really looking at it as our creative partner and a creative tool, and not just to drive efficiency and optimize everything in our lives, we can look at it very differently.
Very cool. Well,
I mean, I think like it was kind of hitting on is that it's not, we don't live in an either or world anymore. Everything is an and scenario. It's like everything everywhere all at once. It's simultaneous. It's all happening together, and you have to kind of work in an and scenario. And so again, I don't think one of the myths is that AI is meant to replace people. AI is going to replace movies, where it's going to replicate. And I'm saying I don't think that that's actually the goal. Now, what it will do is it is going to flood the market, right? And you can see it. And you can look at all these like Sora videos. Everyone understands. You can tell perceptually, textually, like it's not, it is what it is, right? It will flood the market.
Third arm kind of gives it.
Yeah, it kind of gives it when like the baby's head is in the dog's mouth, and you're like, think that the mom would be okay with that.
Thor
but
2 is
alright,
pretty
but-
scary though. It's pretty.
But
yeah.
but what it does though is it showcases, so when you live in an and scenario, that's going to happen, right? And there is going to be a preference for that. And like the big thing that you're looking at, and sort of like the units of economics that I look at from an entertainment perspective, is audience and attention. That's it, right? How do I earn, capture long term, and monetize that? I know that this is going to happen. It's going to capture some audience and attention. It's going to take some of that. The and scenario becomes right where there's when there's one force, there's also usually the opposite other force. So for example, is the appetite, and we think we're putting a bet on this, that the appetite and also the price sensitivity for other immersive, communal, heightened experiences that aren't just flooding, right? Meaning just like constant, buffet. Are those going to have something that is a distinct texture, a distinct value proposition? And in an and scenario, the economics are going to change. This comes down, the access to tons of content and just filling time comes down. Access here might actually get more compressed. We may actually lean into that compression and then therefore monetize more effectively. And now you start to also, as a company, I'm not competing against this. I may actually participate in this, and this, right? And I'm just, the goal is understanding how all of those things play together in sequence, how you monetize effectively and how you just sort of optimize effectively sort of in an and world, not in a, I'm trying to fight against a digital world, right?
Yeah, I would say, like, just to kind of parrot what everyone said, AI, and I could be wrong to Joe's point, maybe in 6 months this will prove me wrong, but like that AI is still just a tool right now, the way I see it and the way we're using it as we're building Zeal, among other things. Just like a hammer was a tool for maybe someone, 100 years ago, we have an incredibly powerful tool to do lots of things, whether it's entertain our kids, process large amounts of information, or synthesize things as it relates to movie tickets or whatever it is. And so I think that's how, like, we're using it. That's how I think it'll sort of, I know a lot of people are just creating AI for AI's sake, but I think as Syuzi, said, it's like, it still starts with a consumer truth. It still starts with a immutable sort of problem that humans have, and AI is there to sort of help us better solve that. And with the 4 months, now it takes 3 days or whatever it is. And so, yeah, that's what I would say about that.
Thank you, Joe. Thumbs up.
Say the thing is, the bad thing is the bar is so low. Coming from the hiring perspective, like we, again, are helping tons of companies hire. The number one thing they want is people who are good at AI. I see thousands and thousands of people's answer of like, the main question is like, what do you use AI for? And are like, better. If you can literally do anything beyond that, but you, and so like the bar is just so low to actually like present yourself.
What is the right answer to that question?
Yeah.
I'm building shit. I'm fighting.
Like,
Literally anything. Like I'm doing anything beyond making my email sound better, and you're like top tier.
Yeah.
Like in the professional workspace right now.
Okay. No, this is awesome. I mean, we barely taken a dent in so many more questions, which I want to actually close up right here, right now. I wanted to open up one question to the audience, but let's do that over some drinks. So wanted to just say thank you all again for taking time out of your busy schedules, and for all of you guys for coming. And big thanks to Tyler again. So you guys come back here for coffee. And
it's like, do this again.
yeah, no, I mean, we should and could be doing this very regularly. I mean, in fact, we don't need to wait for once a year tech week, right? So, by all means, it'd be great to do more events here at Reunion & Co. And again,
yeah, this came together over literally like 4 days ago, and we thought, oh, if it's just the panel, we'll just drink wine. It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
And then you guys all showed up. I think like, if you came from the West Side, awesome, thank you. We usually have to go to the West Side for all this kind of stuff. So
There's some South Bay people here.
Yeah, yeah, thank you, Kevin. Yeah. So yeah, we've been kind of, this place has only been open for, like 8 weeks now. And so we're trying to cultivate a little bit of a Eastside, or whatever you want to call it, Larchmontville, like, just no offense to the West Side, but not a West, like, you don't have to cross the 405. So So as Elijah said, we're gonna, outside of, Tech Week officially, we might try to do some more of these things. So
Yeah.